Good evening, everyone. Thank you for watching. I got an update for you guys on this major upcoming system. We've been in a little bit of a dry spell here for the eastern U.S. just after our pretty major nor'easter moved out of the northeast, but now we are forecasting another major winter storm that's going to be moving through the central plains and then soon to be the eastern coast of the U.S. So we're going to see this pattern in the next few weeks where we're going to have these rounds of some winter storms that could potentially be strong, but mainly, just be a few rounds of some snow for some. But, right now, the beginning stages of your next storm are happening right here. As you're seeing a lot of rain and snow left over from this atmospheric river that's also going to be starting up our new system. And then you're also dealing with some snow here across the northern Dakota area and Minnesota. So those are basically the two areas we're watching today. We're also going to be watching the severe weather potential for tomorrow here in the southeast. We're up to an enhanced risk, but we're going to leave that for the next part of the update. So we're going to go ahead and get into the update, starting with your alerts. So let me pull these up. So as you can see, basically all that's happening, it's not too bad. There's a few warnings out there that are pretty significant, but I think that the storms as of now are not as bad as what we saw last week. So basically what we have here is we have some winter weather advisories that go out for southern Minnesota, some counties in north central to central, and then obviously southern Minnesota are dealing with these, you know, these winter conditions. But you can see that there is a little line here that splits, that almost splits the state of Minnesota in half. That's giving a few counties in central and north central, some winter weather advisories. And then for southeastern, I think this is southeastern South Dakota, you are experiencing some of that as well. Winter storm warnings go out for some of eastern to northeastern Minnesota, some of northeastern Nebraska, and then also a tiny bit of northwestern Wisconsin. Sorry. But yeah, so that's pretty much the alerts for the north central. And then you do have here, because of your rainfall, this is still your atmospheric river, you have some severe thunderstorm warnings. This is for the border of Nevada, California, and Arizona. So we're actually going to take a look at this real quick. So I'm going to click on here. So this is for Phoenix, Arizona. So this is basically your current radar for Phoenix, Arizona. This is the area. And this is what we looked at. You can see here that you've got 3 areas for severe thunderstorm warnings. You have one here in Lake Havasu City. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but El Centro and north of Yuma, you do have a severe thunderstorm warning. And then just north of 29 Plain, I don't know if I'm saying this, 29 Palms, I don't know, but anywhere in that area, in that vicinity, you're getting hit by those thunderstorms that have been a little strong because it's still that atmospheric river with all that moisture still pushing into it. You can see it's not only the thunderstorms, it's also drenching rain. You've got flash flood warnings for, actually it's north Las Vegas. I think northern Las Vegas it has been definitely experiencing some very heavy rain. This will continue as we're going to see that flood threat really rise. But all this green here, this is all flood watch. This goes out for Payson, Prescott, Kingman, and just all the areas around it, Wicksburg. But yeah, and even Payson. I don't know if I said Payson. I think I did. But this whole vicinity here, I'll circle it. I'm gonna circle this whole area where I think the flooding is gonna be most likely. I think it's really gonna be in this area. We also have some flood advisories. We have a flood warning and a flood advisory. They're very similar to each other. The colors, but I believe that what we've got is a flood advisory. So, that is pretty much it. We did see some stuff happening in the southeast, which I'm not sure we can get back to. I think we can. All right, here we go. So, this is what I was talking about in the southeast. So you got freeze warnings now. You're definitely gonna have some. Those roads are gonna get very icy because one, you have some moisture, and precipitation move through today. It's been a pretty cloudy and rainy kind of day. Not been too warm today, but you're gonna have a major flash freeze here, and it is going to get very cold very fast. And notice that all of South Carolina is in this freeze warning. Most of Georgia and most of North Carolina. So, any of you in that area, you've got to really watch those temperatures as it is going to get very cold for you guys in the southeast. You also do have some frost advisories. It's not only that freeze warning, but you have some frost too. I know an advisory is basically just to make sure that everyone knows that there's a chance for some. I don't know if you want to call it severe frost, but if you want to put it that way. But that I mean, you still have a frost advisory that goes out for a lot of northern Alabama and a lot of northern Florida. So, those are all your alerts here, and we're gonna move on to. Looks like this is the North Central. Yeah, this is the North Central. So basically, we're gonna be discussing this major winter storm for the North Central. I'm not doing the Northeast today because there's not much going on right now other than some gusty winds, but also that we don't have the latest HRRR does not go out the entirety of the next upcoming system for the Northeast. So we're just gonna wait until tomorrow. If I do an update tomorrow, I'll definitely include you guys. But for today, I don't think we're gonna do that. So, as you can see, that right now it's not too bad. For the North Central, it's 7:57 Eastern time. So, I don't know. I think you guys are in Eastern time. I'd have to check back, but I'm pretty sure that this would because this says forecast time local. I think this actually would be the time for the North Central. So, I think that would actually be Central time. I'm not sure. But we're getting into the middle of the night, and you're finally getting some precipitation from the system here, and you're seeing some snow flying across portions of northwestern Nebraska, maybe some areas of southern South Dakota, but it's not going to be heavy. It's probably going to start out as most storms do, where it's struggling a bit. Maybe in a few areas it'll start struggling to produce some snowfall, as your temperatures are going to be a lot warmer. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to start out as not all rain, not all snow. But then once we get into the morning hours, that's basically when this storm really takes shape, and you're going to have more intense precipitation. So, excuse me, that means that for central and southern Nebraska, that means you guys are probably going to get the most snow out of this, also including eastern Nebraska, because it's the snow is going to start out light early, and the storm is coming from the west. So the areas more farther west are going, because they're going to have some lighter snow. It's going to be lighter accumulations, but the heavier the snow, the more accumulation you're going to get. Look at this wintry mix here for a lot of southeastern South Dakota, and I think that we may have accumulating ice with this. I think you're gonna have some pretty slick roads out there, no matter what the outcome is. And then you also have this system possibly even trying to pair with this piece of energy here, but we'll watch that. So this would be 7 a.m. and we're gonna skip ahead to like 10 a.m. here. And oops, we went way too far. Hold on, guys. All right, this is 10 a.m. So you can see that we're definitely going to have a lot of heavy snow for that area of southwestern South Dakota. So for you winter weather fans out there, it is going to be an awesome day for you guys because it's going to start out as some sleet, maybe some ice mixing with that. But then it's quickly going to change to very heavy snow, and you can see some of that snow accumulate. Same thing for northern to some areas of eastern Nebraska. So, western Nebraska, it's going to start out as mainly rain. Maybe you'll get a little bit of snow mixed in there. But I think for the impacts, I think definitely eastern Nebraska is definitely going to have the worst impacts for the state. But there's going to be a line here of sleet that's going to it's going to stretch all the way from northern Kansas up into parts of maybe the border of Minnesota and Wisconsin. So, a very large line of some sleet. As this does not look like it's going to be a usual, winter storm where usually you have almost the entire area being affected by the system is covered in snow. I think this one's going to be at least half rain, maybe a little bit more than half rain. But I think the snow is probably going to be the heaviest around 3, 2, maybe 1, 2, or 3 p.m. So once it gets to like the central, north central, if you want to put it that way, I think that's where you're going to have the most heavy snow. It's probably going to be for western Iowa and maybe portions of southern to western Minnesota. But then you could see that it's going to quickly change to rain, and you're going to have some thunderstorms that are going to move through the Illinois area, southern Iowa, all of Missouri, then a little bit of Wisconsin. This could also move through Michigan, but mainly northern Michigan. And then when this pulls out, it'll give some snow to Wisconsin on the backside, but only for northern Wisconsin. So, backside of the system, it's going to be light snow. Front side, it's going to start out as a few rain showers, maybe a little bit of some more moderate rainfall, and that's going to change to heavy snow for a few hours. But then that pulls out, and it should be clearing probably by Friday. Where it's gonna be clearing tomorrow, but it's definitely not going to be over, and it's not going to be completely clear tomorrow. So really, you should wait until Friday to see that sunshine get back out there. But for the western half of this region, I think it's definitely going to be for like the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Kansas. You guys will see the sunshine appear probably by tomorrow. So we're gonna briefly look at these snowfall totals just to check out what's what here. And this goes out 48 hours. This is exactly how many hours the HRRR that we just looked at goes out. And you could see that it was pretty similar to the area I was talking about. Again, it appears to be southern Minnesota and northwest. Sorry, that was a lag. Hold on. Okay, we got it. So southern Minnesota and northwestern Iowa getting the most snow from the system. So, I think that it's definitely going to be producing a lot of snow in not just this area I'm circling, but the whole area. But I really think that the pinpointed area for the heavy snow is definitely going to be this area of southeastern Minnesota. So, what to expect for northwestern Iowa would probably be up to 6 inches of snow, mainly for this little band here. If I'm, you know, circling your state or sorry, county, or you're kind of just, you think that you're in this area that I'm circling, that you should expect a good amount of snowfall. For southern Minnesota, it's probably going to be up to 9 inches of snow just for this area that I'm talking about here with this circled area. For the areas in blue here, it would be up to 5 inches. For Nebraska, I know you guys are cut off a lot from this map. For you guys, it would probably be up to 5 inches as well, maybe 6 or 7 inches around, but again, I mean, like we saw with the HRRR, it's looking like it's going to be mainly the western half of the state, and the southern half of the state won't get as much snow either. And then northern Wisconsin, this is your backside snow. This is, pretty close to a lake, but you will have here this little area of Michigan and Wisconsin, like the borderline. You guys could definitely get, some areas could receive over a foot. But for the northern edge of Wisconsin, you guys could get potentially up to a little more than 10 inches of snow. And then for the rest of you in this blue, it would probably be up to 6 or 7 inches. So that's all the snow for the north central from this system. And we're now going to be looking at the southeast. So, like I said earlier, you have a severe weather potential. It's not too high, but you do have a marginal risk for severe weather in effect for tomorrow. I know I'm touching my head a lot. I took a shower and my hair is all floppy, and so I want to get it out of the way. But if you're wondering, that's why. But yeah, let's get back to this. So, let me start it where we get the precipitation start, which isn't gonna be until like mid to late day tomorrow when you start seeing those thunderstorms. So you're gonna have those first hand thunderstorms probably around 3 to 3:30, maybe 3:45 tomorrow. So this would be out 25 hours. Then once you get to 4 p.m., you're starting to see more stronger storms. And then, you're not seeing much curviness. You do have a little bit of a curved supercell here in southern Arkansas. So, I think maybe you'll have some rotation trying to get going out there. And then you do have two lines of these storms, and they're pretty similar to what we would call a frontal line, which I talked about in earlier updates a little earlier, last month, which is basically when the tornado threat is declined, but your wind threat starts. And the fact that you're going to have two of these firsthand really tells you that the tornado risk is going to be a lot lower than you would expect, and then the wind risk is definitely going to be a lot higher, because these still continue moving and you don't really see that much curviness. So if you didn't know already, the more curvy the storms appear, the more tight rotation they will have. So you're getting into the middle of the night tomorrow night, and you're still getting some storms that have winds whipping out there. This is 2 a.m. And then we continue this, and it's still storming out here for portions of Mississippi, mainly central Mississippi. Northern Mississippi would probably be like 5 or 6 in the morning. And then these still try and approach the Carolinas, but they definitely won't be as strong as they used to be once they make it to the coastline. But that was pretty quick. It's not going to be a crazy system. I can see why the National Weather Service put out a marginal risk, but really I would not, enhanced risk. So what I said about the marginal risk earlier, scratch that. That was a mistake. I meant enhanced risk. I would not, if I were the National Weather Service, I would not issue an enhanced risk. I would issue a slight risk. But I'm not the National Weather Service. They're obviously smarter than I am, but that definitely just continue following their forecasts and mine as well. So here we are. We're gonna take a look at here at the SPC, severe. So it's like severe weather percentages, and the categorical outlook. So for today, you have a marginal risk for Phoenix, Arizona. This area we were talking about in the beginning of the update with those drenching thunderstorms. That was today. Not much happening. Tornado risk, you don't even have a tornado risk. Wind, you have a wind risk 5% for Lake Havasu City, Arizona, Bullhead City, Arizona, and Kingman, Arizona. And the hail risk is also 5%, now including Phoenix, Mesa, Glendale, Chandler, and Scottsdale. So that was today's risk. Now here's tomorrow's risk, and here's that enhanced risk we were talking about. Now, usually when there's an enhanced risk, I usually sound worried. But today, for tomorrow, I really don't think it's going to be much, but definitely stay weather aware. I think that you're going to have a few areas that are going to be on the edge of really getting hammered by a very damaging thunderstorm. I think that there's going to be a few out there that could definitely bring potentially maybe even life-threatening impacts. But here you go. You got a marginal risk for Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Little Rock, Arkansas, Jackson, Mississippi, and Beaumont, Texas, with a population of just over 7 million. Slight risk for Houston, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Austin, Texas, Shreveport, Louisiana, and Pasadena, Texas. So those areas for the slight risk. Personally, for me, that would be the highest risk for today. But the National Weather Service and the SPC outlook does want to show an enhanced risk, which leads us into looks like this is actually the second smallest category for today. The slight risk with a population of 13 million. That is a pretty high population for this tiny area here, just because of those major cities that it includes, like Houston, Austin, Shreveport, and San Antonio. But the enhanced risk: Dallas, Fort Worth, Arlington, so the DFW area, Plano, Texas, Garland, Texas. This is all in Texas. It's looking like more of a classic tornado alley kind of pattern that we've been seeing. We're getting into like yearly weather, not just for the past few weeks, but for the past few years. I know we've been seeing in the last few months of like 2022 a risk a lot farther east, almost as if Tornado Alley was shifting east. I know in 2021 when we had the Kentucky tornado outbreak of the December tornadoes of 2021, that was definitely a sign that really got people thinking, like, okay, this could definitely be changing and this could be shifting east. But now I think that we're definitely seeing a trend that we are returning back to the central. So now that central U.S. is getting more action, that means the central plains and then maybe the north central could have more, thunderstorms, which also means more above average temperatures. So severe weather and thunderstorms play a huge role in the climate for the U.S. and just the, all these temperatures and forecasts in general. So for the population of the enhanced risk, 7,844,141. Tornado risk only up to 5%. Like I said, because the storms don't appear to be that curvy, you're going to have a tornado risk very declined. So the 5% risk with a population of over 8.5 million, you have Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, Arlington, Texas, Plano, Texas, and Garland, Texas. So I think this should be actually pretty close to identical to the enhanced risk, a little bit more, curvy here. But, there's nothing really to discuss that's pretty major with that tornado threat. Wind threat, it's going to be high. Like I said, the two frontal lines that I showed you, I mean, that is showing why these damaging wind gusts are going to be very likely. You're up to a 30% risk. We're going to start with your 50% risk, which is pretty high. Houston, Texas, San Antonio, Texas, Austin, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, and Shreveport, Louisiana are all in this 15% risk for damaging wind gusts tomorrow. So that's a big area. That population is just under 16.5 million people. So, a very large area with many major cities are under a very large risk for those damaging wind gusts. 30% risk, it's pretty tight, it's pretty close. Dallas, Texas, Arlington, Texas, Plano, Texas, Garland, Texas, and Irving, Texas. So that would be a population of a few 100,000 people, over 5 million. So, that is not really something to be too concerned about. But it's definitely something that you want to watch, and definitely something that we are going to be forecasting very closely in the next few hours. But, for me, it's probably just going to be today and tomorrow. The hail risk, yeah, it's pretty similar to that wind risk. You've got 30% risk for a pretty similar area, a little bit farther west, though. So we'll just discuss the 30% risk for Dallas, Texas, Fort Worth, Texas, Arlington, Texas, and Plano, Texas. You also have Garland, Texas in that, which gives this population of 6,806,578 people. So, that was pretty much the SPC categorical risk for tomorrow. Like I said earlier, it shouldn't be too bad, but it's definitely something that you should, watch very closely, and you want to stay weather aware. So, for the last part of the update, we're going to be looking at this pattern ahead and these major not nor'easters, these major winter storms that are about to impact the eastern U.S. So let me refresh this so I can show you guys what I want. Alright, here we go. So, once this loads, alright. So, as you can see, your first system is going to start coming through, pretty early because, we already obviously looked at that, and we know that this is going to be impacting tomorrow. And this is along with your severe weather. So, let me get this going. Let me just get this ad out of here. Alright. So, you can see that it's going to start out with all that snow here in the central plains, and then through the southeast and southern plains, you're going to start seeing that severe weather build. Okay, that moves into the northeast, giving you a pretty rainy day. Not any heavy snow or heavy rain, just a little bit of fog and a wet day in general. And then here comes the next system, and note that this is starting out very far south. So you'd think, okay, so this is starting to look like the traditional setup for a nor'easter. So, it is nor'easter season. This is basically the middle of March, so this counts as the nor'easter season. But, it's going to start out as some very heavy rain for the Carolinas, border and upper elevations of North Carolina, Tennessee, and Virginia. It'll start out as some very heavy snow, maybe a snowstorm for you guys. But then watch as this moves into southern New England and the coastal areas. And then it does give New York City maybe a few inches of snow. And same thing for southern New Jersey, mainly for northern New Jersey, that snow. But, there's no doubt that Long Island and New York City could have a few inches from this system. So maybe your first, major, potentially major snowfall totals of the year. But, as you can see, after that, there's not much action going on until a few major systems come along after that. So that's going to wrap the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, like, share, comment, subscribe. If not, subscribe to the channel. I'll catch you guys in the next update. So, We'll see you guys, and we'll continue watching this pattern and these storms ahead. So we'll see you guys.